Well, there we go again. There's our wonderful jingle. And here we are again, Craig. We are going to have Craig and Cheryl will have a chat about homemade and going outdoors. But we are not on our own.
We're not.
No, we're not on our own.
We're not
Again,
trusted.
I know, it's great. It's really great. We are joined by Harriet, the
Hello.
fingered goddess of heifer offshoots, the garden group in brackets home education group for all things outdoorsy.
Yes.
So, hello, welcome.
Hello.
Lovely to see you.
Good to
Can
have
you give
you
us
here.
a flash of your
Oh,
t-shirt?
my daisy on my t-shirt. Look.
That's lovely. Thank you. I'm just going to show off mine.
Oh, look, you're very
I
flowery
did.
too.
I didn't dress for the occasion. I've got
No,
butterflies on this
if
very
you've
old
if
top.
you've got floral pants on, we don't want to see them. All right, it's not that kind of show. um. Anyway, so we are here because we decided it'd be a great idea to have a chat about taking home education outdoors or bringing outdoors indoors into home education. So I'm prepared. I got very ready for this one this time. So why did we think this would be a good thing to chat about, Craig?
I can't remember. Why
Right,
did we think
okay.
this? I think it was because it's something that I haven't got as much expertise about as you, to be honest. And I thought it was your turn.
We were scraping the bottom of the barrel, trying to find something that Cheryl knew something about. And this is what we came up with. That was it, wasn't it?
Well, I had the I've had the AI and the data conversation, and I think it's fair that you have a turn at being the expert
I
as
am.
such. Although I have been outside a fair bit, I must warn you. So
Well, I can see from the tan.
yeah, especially on top of the head.
So yeah, no. Well, this is cool because normally I play the role of asking questions and nodding and looking like I'm paying attention, or sometimes not. But this time I've got loads of stuff to say, but I've also got loads of questions, so this will be quite interesting. But luckily, I am joined by Harriet, who also has a lot to say, which is very cool. So we thought it'd be a good idea, partly because, well, number one, we've got a sister group, which is all about this kind of stuff, all about how exciting it is to use nature and gardening and that kind of thing. But also, it's one of those homemade kind of tropes or cliches as like, oh, you bake cakes and oh, we'll do things with nature. And then you might start homemade and go, oh, well, they don't want to, or they want to do Plants versus Zombies on the computer, and that's it. Like, oh, okay, where's my lovely nature-based home ed gone? So we're going to talk about all different types of nature-based home ed. And first, let's talk about what the heck we know about it. So, Craig, we've already decided you've got very little to share at this point, but go on. Tell us a bit about what nature and outdoors means in your home ed life.
So we do try and get out a lot out of the house, at least. It might be into, nature might be the bit we traverse to another indoor location. But a lot of the time we do try and spend a fair bit of time actually outdoors. My wife has a nature walk with a few of our daughter's friends every and their parents every week. Most weeks, unless it's absolutely pouring down. So we do have kind of scheduled time that we try to get outside, as well as obviously ad hoc times and park meets and things like that. We have a very up and down relationship with the outdoors due to sensory issues with clothing and getting ready, getting appropriate things on, and sometimes overwhelm about actually getting out. So it's not all like hunky dory and easy for us, but we try to do it a lot.
Cool.
We just don't manage it as much as maybe we'd like to on some occasions.
And are you gardening people? Do you?
My wife, more than me, I'm a bit more landscaping than gardening, so I don't mind digging up and reshaping things and putting structures in. But yeah, it's more that made it sound a lot grander than it is. But I'll let people use their imagination. Imagine I'm building a massive pagoda or something. But yeah, my wife tries to grow some things to eat every year. yeah, she's trying to get into that quite a bit, and obviously involving our daughter as well, where she's interested, which I'm sure we'll get onto later.
Oh yeah, no, that's the thing, because it's kind of not just about the homemade parents. It's like the kids, unfortunately, have got to. Sometimes they might not want to do what we want to do. But no, Harriet, and what kind of role does nature and the outdoors play for you?
Well, my background is I did actually do an RHS course in horticulture, what feels like many, many years ago. Yes. And I also am a play specialist. So play comes into my world quite a lot. But my daughter doesn't always want to do what I suggest. In fact, I would probably suggest that if I suggest it, that's probably going to not be what she wants to do. So
Right. Okay.
we really do go with the flow. And we don't have any set things that we do regularly every week, because it has to be totally dependent on how my daughter feels at the time. We do have a little dog that we go out and walk.
We've got a question about dogs in a bit, so I'll come back to you on that one.
So we do walk her, and she's very small, so very easy to walk. And we've got a smallish garden, and my daughter loves sitting in the hammock in our garden, which she likes. And I'm still not quite sure how she manages it, but she likes to read.
Oh, yes, no.
Swaying in the hammock.
Yeah.
I cannot read whilst moving like that. But yeah, she can sway back and forward in the hammock whilst reading a book, which
lovely.
Works for her. We do
awesome.
grow a lot of stuff in our garden, but my daughter has varying amounts of participation in it depending on how she feels.
Yeah,
it varies so much. Sometimes to do with the temperature, sometimes to do with how bright it is, sometimes to do with how much sleep she's actually had. So we don't have any standard things we do every week. We are more of a wing it sort of family.
Well, no, so I mean that's fair enough, because sometimes you just like, it's a nice day, it's the right kind of day, I'm in the mood to go out, so what can we do? Those kinds of things. Whereas other people are kind of, if we don't get outside every day, we start bouncing off the walls, and those kind of families really need some structured time outdoors.
So that's my wife.
Sanity.
My wife is like that, but my daughter is in between me, and my wife and I can stay in for a few days and be perfectly fine. And then I'll get a little bit. So it's quite hard balancing those two needs. Because my wife really does get upset. It's not something that you consider
when you're starting a family, is everybody's attitude to nature and the outdoors.
It's not normally on your tick list, is it?
No.
And it's something you can't know, isn't it, until the child comes along and you see how they are, But I mean, I didn't want to make it sound like every week is hunky-dory and we get out. A lot of the time it's a lot of issues before we can get out. But my wife is... if it was me on that day, I would have given up a lot more than my wife does, because I'm not as. I'd be like, no, it's not, like the trade-off isn't. It's not worth it for me, but it really is for her, because she does go stir crazy, as you said.
Yeah, so we'll talk about that bit as well, like the kind of like the therapeutic side of it, and I think also just like for us as well. Maybe we need a bit of nature in our life sometimes, regardless of the children, and how you kind of do that and involve your children as well, and that kind of thing. So me, the reason I do actually know what I'm talking about with this one, which is this is not going to help my wholesome reputation at all.
And we played the Little House on the Prairie music as you're saying this.
So
I'll just hum it.
when I was a teenager, on a Friday evening, I would be indoors watching Gardener's World. That was my Friday evening. I even remember going to a mate's house once, and they were just off like Bottle of Archers up in the garden or something, and I was like, "Oh, Gardener's World on," and I'd be watching it with the mum and dad. So that was me. So I kind of grew up learning loads and loads about it. It was just, I don't know, fascinating. I just found it really interesting, like learning all the Latin, and I loved all that kind of stuff. but I'm also kind of a like I'll just try it and see what happens kind of person as well. So I quite like nature for that, and gardening. You can just have a go, and if it dies, it dies. You try again, that kind of thing. So that was pretty good. Um, and then sort of round and about at some point, I ended up becoming a self-employed gardener because it turned out I was like, oh, this is something I could do and other people can't. All right, and they'll pay me. Brilliant. So I did that. Um, and then I became a mum, and rather than join the PTA, I thought I'll volunteer to help out in the garden at school. That'd be quite nice, you know. Um, and it just turned into a job. It turned into a job as a horticultural therapist working in a primary school with children. And that is like one of my jobs, along with getting paid to do gardening for people and other stuff. Um, so I know a lot about how you can use nature therapeutically to scratch different itches, and that could be something as simple as, you know, what will really make this kid feel kind of calm is to sit and sort the seeds out somewhere nice and warm and dry, but they're going to get the packets of seeds and they're going to organize them alphabetically, and they're going to check the dates and put them, you know, and da da da, and then they'll feel calm, you know. And that's kids that I've had doing that with. Or it's like, do you know what this kid needs to do? They need to do something really destructive. Right, we are going to go and dig up a tree stump, and that they are going to practically break a spade doing that, and then they're going to get all that out of them. So you know, so that's been quite good for me. And what's been interesting for me is because I do it in a school, I'm always trying to think about how can I hook things onto the curriculum. So, you know, I know. One time they did that book Holes. Do you know?
Oh, I know. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Which is you love it. It's a film. It's a brilliant film and a book.
I'm not going to Google it.
It's a bit of a classic text for primary school kids. And basically, they are sent to this kind of naughty camp, and they have to dig holes. And it just happened that I was like, okay, great. Well, we've got to do some digging. And the kids were like, oh, just like the kids were feeling in the book, and they were getting a sweat on and everything. And I was like, how to bring you know, school to life. But anyway, I'm rambling. The point is, I love talking about education and nature and kind of using it for all those different things. I kind of see it as a challenge. But the challenge can sometimes be that the person you're trying to educate doesn't want anything to do with nature. So why don't we start with that? Okay. So what are some of the challenges that our families, our children can experience with trying to make nature part of their everyday life? And how do we kind of cope with that? How do we deal with that?
My daughter really, really struggles with the bright sun. She just is really dazzled. So sometimes we do things early in the morning when it's cloudy, sometimes late in the afternoon. But sunglasses are a must, as are a cap with a nice wide brim that blocks out light.
Yeah.
They are really helpful. But equally, sometimes we just get stuff and bring it indoors. And we've got a tray that we use particularly to do outdoorsy stuff inside, and then we do stuff inside on this tray on the table, and we're not outside because sometimes.
Why is it important to you to actually do that? Why do you bother trying to bring stuff indoors?
Everything with my daughter is a discussion about what does she want to do? Does she want to be part of it? And often she will be, yes, I want to do it, but I just can't be out there. It's horrible. It's bright. It's hot. It's sunny. So then I try to come up with ideas and offer up suggestions of things that we could do, which isn't to say that sometimes her answer to all of my suggestions is no, no, no. But there are times when, she's like, okay, we could do that. And sometimes with us, it's me doing and chatting about what I'm doing, and she's watching and asking, but not actually necessarily doing the doing because she doesn't want to get the stuff on her hands. She doesn't like the feel. Often she doesn't like the feel of compost. A lot of things she doesn't like the feeling of. So gardening gloves do work, but sometimes she's sometimes she's feeling more sensory aware than other times. So whereas one time putting the gardening gloves on is enough, another time even the gardening gloves on her hands are irritating.
Gardening gloves can be really horrible to wear.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, they can be sweaty, they can be uncomfortable. It's like putting your socks on wrong.
yeah.
I mean,
Well,
I work with some children, and oh my God, it takes me 5 minutes to get the gloves on. Do you know what I mean? It's like even just kind of the right pair on. Whereas
yeah,
I'm more of actually, I just want to feel it in my hands.
yeah,
Gloves
yeah.
make me feel a bit separate. Your face.
Um,
When was the last time you picked up a slug, Craig? Come
I
on.
don't. I'm not good with my own sensory issues. I've never played with mud. I've never enjoyed that sensation. It makes me
Oh my
feel
goodness.
sick thinking about it. My daughter's again a very funny mixture because she's mostly like me, but sometimes she can get covered and not be bothered. But most of the time she won't want to get hands on like
Oh,
that.
interesting.
But I'm the same with sand. I can't stand sand. It makes me feel sick. But my
Oh,
daughter likes sand, so that's
Yeah.
we live near the sea, so yeah, near the Thames. So
We're not big sand fans here either.
no, it's horrible
interesting.
stuff. Ooh,
No.
Yeah,
yeah.
no, I do get that. I absolutely get that because I see that on a day to day. It's like I'm always like, do you want to wear gloves? Would you like to use a cup? Do you want me to fill the pot for you and then you do that? Do you
Mm,
want to? So some kids really love water.
Yeah.
So they'll like water, but they won't want to anything that stays is not good. So that's interesting. But can you give us an example? You said just sometimes you bring stuff in. Like what are you actually doing? Are you dissecting stuff? Are you sowing seeds? What are you doing?
So recently we've been planting tomato seeds
Hmm.
and we've been planting sunflower seeds, mostly because we've got a sunflower challenge on heifer offshoots, and I sort of felt like we should actually be growing some sunflowers. And my daughter is humouring me and is not particularly excited by the concept of growing sunflowers. So we're doing the sunflower growing literally just for heifer offshoots and
Yes.
not for our benefit whatsoever. And so we've made seedling pots from toilet rolls with folding the bottoms over, which she likes doing. And then I will bring the compost in and put it on the
Yeah.
floor or on the table. And often I will fill the pots. She quite likes getting a pencil and poking it in the compost to make a hole for the
Yeah.
seed to go in. And then normally I drop the seed in. So, yeah, that's the sort of
My
thing we're doing.
son, my son has got a Zen garden.
Oh,
So
nice.
now this is the thing. It's like so. Gardening, I think the gardening, the nature thing doesn't have to actually mean you do the thing. So when I was younger, I used to design gardens all the time.
Yeah,
And I found that fascinating, and it was just like, I'm going to draw and I draw and I'd sketch and then I'd do this and all that kind of stuff. But he's got this little tabletop Zen garden and it's just gravel with a little rake and then you do that and then you place your boulders and then it's just like kind of, and yeah, there were different, there were just like these different ways in which you can use gardening and nature for
yeah,
different things. I'm not particularly that fussed about art. I'm not, that's not really I'm actually quite good at it. I'm just not that fussed about it. But I know that for some people, it's just a wonderful source of being
yeah,
able to do, that kind of stuff. Or if you're someone who likes collecting, then there's the whole kind of like I spy in the garden or the bird spotter thing or the bug spotting thing or that kind of stuff. It's like I think for it is finding out what is the what's the kind of itch that needs scratching. Do you know what I mean? And if it is, I like order and I like, then there's a certain type of nature for you. But if you like expression, then that's something else. Or if I like, another thing with gardening, I think as well, is that some children struggle with making mistakes and not being perfect or things not working, and you'll know your kid whether or not this is a good thing to use with your child or not as a safe way of learning that things can fail, things can be successful. Or do you know what? I think we won't kill a house plant because I don't think you'll be able to handle it, you know. Um, so it tends to be a little bit safer than pets. Getting some of this stuff out of your system about things not always working and that kind of stuff with plants. I quite like it for that. It, you know, anyway, so that's quite cool. What about you, Craig? So you were talking about going outside and being in and like using it as an environment for activity and exercise.
Yeah.
Is that what you use it for then? As a kind of like, let's go out and get some
I
air
think
and
we generally recognise the you know, not even therapeutic, but just general health benefits of being outside and going outside. Obviously, you know, the vitamin D from the sunlight, you know, and just general well-being is improved, isn't it, by being outside? So on their nature walk, that happens a lot. You know, each week they try and have a loose theme around it and maybe do some outdoor activities and things. Some of it being art, but some of it being other things. But other than that, we just try to get out. So I know myself that I find going out in and amongst other people quite stressful. I prefer to go to somewhere quiet. My wife again is a little bit different. She wouldn't mind busier places. Not that she doesn't like quiet ones, but yeah, we do just try and get out. So even if it's to the park, so you know, we're talking about gardening and growing, and I think that's brilliant, and that's great. But actually, be at nature and being outside can just mean like, let's go to the park and be outside. You know, in and amongst the weather and the, you know.
sometimes we've just literally gone and sat on a chair outside the front door. It's literally kind of like, do you know what? Being indoors is just, there's something in the air. We just need to get the heck out of it, just a change of scene. And the other thing that, Harriet, you were talking about, like sometimes you'll do something and your daughter will talk to you and you'll learn and you'll just chat while you're doing. The other thing I think that, you know, the reason why I love a lot of the nature stuff is that you can be doing something like going for a walk, or you can be, I don't know, weeding, or you can be cutting flowers or fruit picking, whatever it is. And you're kind of occupied. And then those conversations can happen at the same time. You know, so my son and I go for a walk pretty much every day. Like regardless of the weather, and this is like kind of almost like a couch to 5K kind of like, we said we would do this, we will do this. Pretty much 8 o'clock every morning, boom, get dressed, go out. And sometimes all we do is just walk to the end of the street back, because we live in a kind of bit of a leafy street. Sometimes we'll go a little bit further. Sometimes we'll get in the car and we'll drive somewhere where we know it will just be an outside kind of woodlandy bit and, you know, whatever. But we walk and we'll probably talk about Roblox, Minecraft, what's going on with me, what's going on with him, what we're going to eat for lunch, you know, and just a download. But we're outside. And as we're outside, we kind of just get interrupted sometimes by a bit of nature or something. So it's like, oh, what's that? Or, oh, look, that's happened, or that tree has whatever. Or a dog walker will go past and you have that quick little, oh, hello, oh, okay, bye. And a little bit of social encounter. You know, good morning, and that's it. You know, and oh, lovely. It's kind of a little bit of a social encounter, but without anything too horribly awkward. You know, and yeah, we do that every day. But I was thinking about your daughter actually. I was like, we've sometimes gone out at night, so. You know, like as it gets dark, different animals will come out and birds will come out. If people are freaked out by the dark, this doesn't work for them. But like dusk is a really lovely time.
Gloaming.
Summer, if you like walk down, you'll see a fox running along. The swallows turn to bats, and you know you don't even notice. Seriously, though, 1 minute a swallow flies over. And then a bat will come back and you're like, oh, when did that happen? They just kind of like switched roles behind the scenes or something. And it's just that different kind of vibe. Or like we got up really early one morning and listened to the dawn chorus. And we had to get like, we had our pajamas on underneath our clothes. It was like, right, we are just going to put clothes on over pajamas because it was really cold. Coats, hat, this is ridiculous. We knew it was ridiculous. Got a torch and then went out. But it was so cool because there was no one there. And we heard stuff, and then we came home and had a hot chocolate, and it was like, I went back to bed. But, it felt kind of special, so, and it was just like different. I mean, there's no bright lights in the night, it's quite kind of cool. So,
and that one did have a purpose, didn't it? That particular story you said, but before, where you're saying about your walks and things, I think that's something to bear in mind as well. You don't have to go out with the aim of going to a particular place, doing a particular thing. You don't have to be going to do some gardening, going to do some, something. Just being out, as you say, it's great if people are into mindfulness. I hate it, but other people I know love it. And you can hear and you can see, and smell. And, I don't like focusing in on my own.
No, no, it's not my thing.
No. I can't cope with it, but I know other people do like it. So it's great for things like that. But it is, and again, it can go down those, excuse the pun, rabbit holes, can't you? Of discussion. What can we hear? Oh, is that a woodpecker, or is it a whatever? Let's look up, the sounds when we get back home, or look up a picture if we've seen it, and or take your book out and see. It's just. I think that aimless.
Is it a fox? Is it a dog? Or is it...
Well, there you go. That's yes.
I've had that question before.
Yeah, we just added
what's that? We found a poo, and it's like, oh, great! Let's go and have a look, shall we? And I've got a little
just added a whole load of spotters guides for poo on our group guides. I don't know whether you've seen them.
Oh, yes.
We've got
for some people, like for some, there'll be a kid that being a poo detective will be exactly what gets them outside. Do you know what I mean? It's like be horrifying for someone else, but like
there really is something for everyone.
Poo, amazing.
I knew it would be for some people. My daughter was a bit like, ugh, how disgusting. But some people will like the idea of going out spotting poo.
Let us move on from poo. to other topics are available. So how about let's talk about a different type of education. So we've talked about like building it into part of our life and it's therapeutic and but like actually what if you are thinking in a bit of a school mindset about learning subjects, learning through nature, or using it as a space. So particularly I'm thinking also like for some children, the sensory stuff will mean it's a real struggle for them to interact with nature, or it has to be done in a particular way. For others, actually being indoors is a blooming nightmare. And they have, like the idea of having to stay indoors to do my maths would be horrifying. If you could take that outdoors, wouldn't that be amazing? And this is where we're going to introduce the word girth, Craig. I know you've been waiting for this.
Absolutely no context to that. Makes me look really weird.
No, there is no context. No context. I'm just going to drop that in and then move on.
Enjoy that, everyone.
So, I've seen on the Heifer offshoots group, loads of people put resources on there, and I've collected tons. And there are so many resources produced for schools on how to use nature, plants, all that kind of stuff for maths, science, English, history, art, citizenship, everything. It's all on there. RE, everything. It's all on there. And so like I'll come to girth. Like, there's an awful lot of numeracy that you can just like naturally encounter. Or you don't even realise you're doing it, or you're like, well, we've got to tackle this fairly abstract concept. Well, why don't we just use nature? Because that's actually tangible. So, so for example, there was a really old tree, and I knew that if I could measure its girth from a certain height, and I knew what species of tree it was, I could pretty closely estimate how old it was. Because the alternative is you cut it down and count the rings. It's a bit late then. You can't stick it back together again. And it's like, okay, but that actually involves quite a lot of complexity. It's measurement, it's multiplication. There was some division going on and that kind of stuff. And there's There's another thing you can do where you look between your legs to see how tall a tree is. And oh, Craig, you've got to go for a
Am I
nature
allowed to
walk.
say
I
that's
don't
in
know
our
that
group
one.
guides?
What's that?
Am I allowed to say that how to measure a tree by looking through your legs
Yes.
is in our group guides?
Oh, is it? Oh, I'll have to go and have a look at that. That's
Sorry.
You know, it's like I was once
cool.
I was once traveling with some math nerds, and I had one of those like geezers, you know, the ones that kind of like Old Faithful type thing that shoot the water up and everything.
oh, one of those ones.
Oh, I think I can work out how tall that is. Like, you stand there and this is this, you know. And I was like, they were delighted at being able to figure that one out. But you know, but practically there are loads of ways in which you can use fractions. And again, if you're someone who is interested in garden design, that's where measurements can come in. If you were trying to work out,
patterns, sequences.
Patterns, there's loads of stuff in there, like, you know,
looking at symmetry and asymmetrical shapes. That can all be done quite easily in the garden.
Loads of that. And then literacy is another one, which is just like, it's ridiculous, because like somebody wrote once, I can't remember, they said, how can you write a story about what it feels like to climb a tree if you've never actually climbed a tree? You know, it's like there's an awful lot of experiences that you can. Sorry, what?
That's me out. I've never been able to get up one.
You never climbed a tree?
No, why would I want to do that?
Oh my goodness!
Oh my god! Oh!
I'm built like a tree. I can't get up them. No, it's never appealed to me. I love looking at the trees from the ground.
Taller than everyone else and have a nose around people's.
I am taller than everyone else. I'm high enough. I don't understand I don't mind swinging from a branch of a low tree that I can reach from the ground, but I don't want to get up any higher than I just find that too stressful.
I remember doing quite a lot of my French revision sitting up a tree. It was just like, I couldn't sit still indoors and do it. And I just like, right, I'm going to climb up a tree and just sit up there with it. That's interesting.
Oh, no, never. No, the ability and the will.
You won't be
was
writing
not there.
any stories about climbing trees, will you? But like, also things like there's a game called Go Find It. I don't know if you know that one. It's a card game, and it will have different adjectives with little drawings. So it'll have something like fuzzy, ooh, moist, orange. Something smaller than your head, something smaller than your little finger, and you basically just can say to the kid, right, go and touch something that matches this, or go and put this next to something you think it matches, and then they go and do that, and it helps you bring adjectives to life. It's that kind of thing, and textures and stuff. So I mean, there are just loads of stuff. There's loads of stuff like I've done things with a tree where you had to kind of blindfold. One of you blindfolds the other person, you take them to a tree and then they feel the trunk. And then they take the blindfold off and they have to try and find the tree that matches the one that they felt. And it's like, it's just awesome. Or like we had a tree and it's like, so now you've got to try and think about a character of this tree. And we had some clay and you had to make a face that you could stick on the trunk that kind of expressed the face of the character of the tree that you thought, is it an old man? Is it a cheeky little boy, and then you could write a poem about it if you want, or that kind of stuff. There's a lot of things that you can kind of do it instead of it being this kind of artificial. I'm sat on my desk with a piece of paper and now I've got to write something or do something. So,
well, the most nature I got at school was labelling a diagram of a plant that we never saw in real life.
Oh God, no, that's not fun.
That's the only thing I remember from school about that.
That's so sad, isn't it?
And what's the point as well? Because I've never needed that information about those minutiae of plant anatomy.
Yeah, and that's really sad because that one's dead easy. I mean, that was a really easy one to do.
We had a lot of fun with our microscope. We've got one, and we have brought in from the garden all sorts of random things to look at. And
I tell you what, just a drop of water, bring in a drop of water from a puddle or something, or like a pond. It's
under the
amazing.
microscope, things that we brought in from the garden, bits of dirt, the seeds from dandelion clocks look
Yeah,
incredible under the
yeah,
microscope, as
yeah,
do feathers look amazing. We've got all sorts of different leaves, and we've broken twigs
yeah,
apart, and yeah, we've had a lot of fun at looking stuff under
yeah.
the microscope.
Actually,
And
you
loads of
mentioned.
numeracy comes in because we've got lots of different settings on our microscope
Oh
for
yes.
magnification,
Mm,
and then different things look better at different levels of
yeah,
magnification. So one
yeah.
item might look clearest at one level, but a different item might not be clear at that level, but might be better at another level. We love looking at stuff under the
That's
microscope.
so cool. Actually, you were thinking about feathers. It made me think that like forces. So,
Yeah,
understanding gravity and understanding or like momentum and all that kind of stuff. Like it's so much easier to figure out when you're actually physically experiencing it. And like one
yeah,
of the things I quite like doing is we find a lot of those little white feathers, like the kind of
yeah.
soft downy feathers from birds, not the tail feathers. You find them, um, and I like to say, see if you can catch this feather. So I'll throw it up and I'll blow it. And of course, every kid, the first time they try and catch it, will go like this and they'll try and grab the feather. And of course,
Yeah.
they make a movement and the wind just wafts it off. And they just keep going and keep going. It's fascinating. But then eventually they'll learn that if they hold their hands really still, it will land and then they catch it. But like understanding about aerodynamics and, I mean, so much engineering came from observing nature. So that sticky weed post that was
Yes.
yeah
Yes.
on your which I love sticky weed. Like so all those little seeds. So those kind of like the cleavers it's called, those seeds.
Yeah.
Like they inspired Velcro
Yes.
because the little and you'd have seen it under a microscope, the little hooks. The guy who I can't remember, it's some French guy spotted that they kept getting caught on his dog's fur. And was like, instead of going, oh, that's really annoying, it kind of like, well, why is that? And then he noticed it's the design of all these little hooks. And then he developed Velcro based on that, which is Velcro stands for velvet and crochet, because the crochet
Oh,
is the
wow.
hooks and the velvet is the fuzzy bit that it hooks onto. And I was just like, yeah, someone else would have just gone, that's just annoying. But someone else was like, and just think how Velcro has just transformed so many things. It's
Yeah.
ridiculous, isn't it? So I kind of think, rediscovering like kind of how nature, works practically can really help you kind of spark off other things. And it doesn't have to mean anything at the time in of itself, but you might kind of get that hook later on. So yeah, I'm quite really excited about that one. So let's go back to the kids that hate nature. So we've dealt with poo. Poo is one way to get them outdoors. Going out at night. Also, I think they're kind of like tap into the inner nerd. Like the proper. Be the kid that knows the most about. There will be kids. Those kids who just know every fact there is to know about a particular species, and it's like,
Yeah.
did you know? Fun fact, and then all this stuff will come out and they love it. The same kid that will collect Pokemon will then collect species of bee. It's
Yeah.
like, did you know there's 32 species of bumblebee? And then they'll spot them and this kind of stuff. And that kid will just have an amazing time if you kind of give them that opportunity. So but
Yeah.
Pokemon Go is another one. Pokemon Go is another way of getting your kids outdoors,
Yeah.
because it's a beautiful way of blending the digital with the real, and it definitely got my son outdoors a lot. They'd kind of build up their steps, and then you'd go and there'd be poker sites, and you'd poker stops, and you'd do this. And some of them are like even like at the RHS Weasley Gardens, they've got poker stops, and it kind of gives you
Yeah.
another reason to get out and do stuff. So that's pretty
Yeah.
cool.
Geocaching is another good thing to do.
Yeah.
Oh, geocaching, yes. Geocaching's awesome. And map reading. That's the other thing that's really cool.
Well, bribed is the wrong word, but I do that as well. So I won't row back too much. Yeah, there might be a cafe there. We could get
Yeah.
Yes, that's a good call.
No, the cafe, or an ice cream stop.
Yeah, an ice cream,
get an ice cream.
Back, that is something. But I remember after lockdown, that those quite severe ones that we had first of all about 5 years ago now. And my daughter was probably about 4.5, I think, when I was trying to encourage her to get out a bit more again and go out, and she was very reluctant and didn't want to, venture out. It was quite scary and just didn't want to be outside really. And I remember printing off an aerial view of a park on Google Maps and then kind of marking somewhere she had to find. It was very simple, just find this place. It wasn't a trail because she was young, but just stuff like that, you use resources like that. That was free. The printer wasn't, obviously, but you could also shout on a phone or something and go, look there.
Well,
we hid something. I hid something. Well, I marked a tree, and then because she was younger, while she was distracted at another one, I hid something in the tree that I'd marked before she got there. And then she found it, and that actually did help her to go, oh, this is actually fun and exciting. And
well, that's the thing as well, right? So that tapped into, if you're the kind of kid that likes treasure hunts, scavenger hunts, that kind of stuff. We did a game where we'd go over our local park bit, and one of us would take a photo of something a bit unusual. So there was a tree trunk that looked a bit like an alligator that was on the ground, right? So I took a picture of that, and then I showed it to my partner and my son, and they had to go and find it. I gave them an approximate area. They had to go and take the same picture on their phone. Do you know what I mean? And it was that kind of thing, and it's just another. It's a game. I think it's that playful stuff
as well.
There's a lot of games that you can have, but you'll know your kid. You'll know if your kid is the kind of kid that is like, I'm really motivated by competition or challenge,
or ice cream,
or
ice cream,
I'm motivated by, I don't know, like business. Like my son's got a whole propagation business going on. He's really into succulents. They're great. They are great houseplants because they need almost no attention, and then they still survive, and they're dead easy to propagate. He just got into them, and they're really easy, and you just break a bit off, you leave it for a couple of days, you stick it in a pot, done. But I was like, oh, we could sell these. And so we got this whole kind of business idea, and then we were coming up with a business brand, and then we were researching other garden centres, and it all kind of came off from that. We made a few quid at a car boot sale, but it keeps coming up sometimes as kind of an idea. So basically we need to plug Heifer Offshoots is the place to go for tons of inspiration. There will be like boasty green fingered people there as well. I was like, oh, look, I only spent 3 hours and look at this beautiful garden I made. But there'd also be people of like, we found out that if you squish this happens, and it was and that there's that kind of stuff too. Or we found this great worksheet, or we found this thing, or has anyone got an idea for blah blah blah? So it's a really lovely place. I want to go back to just check the questions because I feel a bit bad that I might have missed some out. Older kids. What? I've kind of got this because we didn't home ed during the young years. We've been doing it 11 plus onwards, and a lot of like the home ed stuff is all kind of like, oh, there's all this cool, cute, grow a cress head, and it's like there's only so many times, like whatever. That for older children, where do you go with that, and what are some of the things that you've seen on the group, Harriet, that kind of hook older children?
My daughter absolutely loves to draw. She's really very good. So we go out sometimes and we just sit and she will draw. And the drawing isn't necessarily about the outdoors. It's just we're outdoors while she's drawing, if that makes sense. She just loves to draw, and we can meet up with people in the park or go anywhere, and she will have, she never goes anywhere without her
Really?
notepad and some pencils and pens and everything, and she'll just sit down,
Oh,
get a little
lovely.
drawing book out and start sketching, and she
That's
draws
awesome.
everywhere.
So that's that thing again, isn't it, of not having a, as you said, a crest head to do, Cheryl. Like, it's not something you're doing with nature.
Mm.
You're doing the thing you might be doing at home, outside.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah. No, and you might take inspiration from outside, and
yeah,
but also just the therapeutic bit of being outdoors is good. So it means that it's something you can do together. So it's like if you want to be outdoors, like I want to go to this garden, okay, fine. You can just sit on the bench with a hot chocolate and sketch. I'm going to go off and look at the blah blah blah, and you've both still got your needs met in the same kind of
yeah.
situation. So other stuff, citizen science is a really cool thing. So for older children, there is so much now going on. We just did this. It's called the water blitz or earth whatever. But basically, you go and take a water sample from a nearby like moving body of water, and they send you the kit, and it's like proper chemicals, and you check it against a measurement thing, and you have to take a photo and describe the place and everything, and it tells you the latitude and the longitude of your location, and then you
Oh,
upload it,
yeah.
and then the data becomes a data point in the map, and it becomes part of this whole picture that they're making of the pollution level of pollution in water bodies.
Yeah.
That's so cool. That's so cool. But
That
there is
is
tons
cool.
of that.
That's
You
really
know,
Yeah.
there are loads of stuff. Like there's the butterfly spotting and the,
Yeah.
you
Big
know,
garden
have you
bird
heard
watch.
this? The sign of spring, and that's not just like, oh, wouldn't that be a nice thing to do? It's like you're actually genuinely
Taking
contributing
part. Yeah.
something, and I think
Yeah,
that's really
we
cool.
did the big bird watch,
Yeah,
and
we did
my
that,
daughter's not particularly interested in birds, particularly, but doing the bird watch and getting the chart out and watching
Yeah,
as part of that activity, she found quite fun.
yeah, and
Yeah,
it matters. That's the thing. You're
Yeah,
actually contributing to a scientific project that relies on that data.
I think that's what
Um,
spurred my daughter on to sit there for an hour, because that is extremely long time for her to sit and concentrate
yeah,
on that sort of thing. So
yeah,
yeah, I think that kind of, seeing the bigger side of it does help
yeah.
sometimes, doesn't it? And seeing a point to it.
Yeah. And then like, a lot of children are concerned about the environment and can feel a bit kind of overwhelmed of like, well,
yeah,
there are always like little things you can do. So like some children, my kid's one of them, we like doing a beach clean.
yeah,
So,
Yeah,
go litter
we do
picking
litter
along the
picking.
beach. And it's like, well, you've gone out, you've done something purposeful. Oh yeah, and by the way, you've been outdoors, had a bit of activity, and you might notice something interesting while you're at it. Do you know what I mean? So that's quite good. He's also really into sea glass hunting,
Oh,
which
nice.
is cool, and then you end up kind of researching, and then that goes into some kind of craft, and there's sorting, and it's like there's a lot of these things can kind of spin off. I think
Yeah.
that's the thing.
For
So
me, it's a
yeah,
massive benefit to home ed is the fact that during the day, a lot of places, Monday to Friday, are quiet. So for
yeah,
us, that is lovely that we can go
yeah,
to places and they're not too peoply.
yeah,
We
absolutely, and
avoid peoply places.
Yeah, we try to as well. Yeah.
So, family education opportunities outside with a dog. How does a dog help or hinder you to take your education outdoors, Harriet?
It varies. Obviously, there are lots of places we can't take our dog, but we do walk a lot with her. And because she's little and my daughter's old enough now that she's able to walk, sometimes she goes out in the daytime around our little residential area with the dog during the day. And that's quite nice from an independence point of view that she can do
Yeah,
that on her own.
yeah. And then opportunities for exercise for an unfit family who like being outdoors.
Oh, dear.
Go
I
for
think
a
the thing
walk.
is, you're onto a winner for the fact that you like being outdoors.
Yeah.
That's a starter. But then, like, so what you probably need is a distraction to distract you from the activity that you're doing. So, like a bit like the challenge, like Pokemon Go is a good one. So that is
Yeah.
like you accidentally end up walking quite a long way. Don't walk anywhere in a straight line because that's just a nightmare. It makes you feel like you're having to walk for ages. Anything that's a bit wiggly, that's pretty good. The other thing is, like I said about maps. So during after lockdown, actually, kind of everyone else had done all the walking. We were like, "Oh, you guys can do that." They went off and did that. Afterwards, we got the maps out. We're like, "Right, we're going to walk all the footpaths. We're going to look at all the footpaths, and we're just going to try them out." Or we took the bike, but we just like, right, we're just going to walk that. And we've got a project at the moment where we've got a river in our village. And we thought, well, why don't we find out where it starts? Okay, so we drove the car to where it starts because it's quite a long way, and we'll walk that bit. Okay, cool, right, okay. Now let's follow it a bit more. We'll look on the map and see where we can walk. We might need to get a train actually, or a bus. Craig might need to the.
I feel like there's a humour here that I'm missing out on.
Craig will not be the face of advertising for the local bus company. Put it that way.
You need to listen to the previous instalments of my bus rant podcast. I mean of the podcast.
You're not a big
Harriet.
fan of the bus. I'm
not a fan of the people on the bus.
It's the public bit of transport. I think you have a problem with, isn't it?
If the bus was mine, I'd be all right.
Yeah,
no, I wouldn't. I'd be stressed. It's too big.
I prefer my own car. I am
okay. But you can drive or, whatever. But the point is that, you can go to somewhere and we've got this map and we've set the challenge. Like, we're just going to keep following the river and just see where it goes.
This question started out of how can an unfit family get out? And this has turned into a hike along to find the source of the river.
No, but the point is, like, you don't have to do a lot. You don't have to do a lot. It's like having a purpose to your walk.
If someone said to me, do you fancy a walk?
Bus.
And I said, no.
I said, get a bus. I said, get a bus, walk a bit, and then go home again. And stop at a cafe.
Craig's not getting on the bus. This is the problem.
I feel like you don't really know any unhealthy people, Cheryl, and that's putting you in a bad position to kind of get in their shoes. I've been an unfit person. That would have put me off. And do you know what? Walking in a straight line is so much less stressful for me than turning all the time because I get worried that I've got lost. And to be honest, it feels longer. I prefer to just walk to a point I can see and then turn around and come back. My wife hardly ever lets us do a straight walk and back because she never wants to go back the same way we've come, and it stresses me out every time we go out because I'm like, oh my God, can we please just turn? I know where I am. Can we turn around and go back? No, we've got to go that way. But I think the thing is, start small. Don't try and find the source of the Thames. Just go out your door and go to the end of the street, one day, and then get, incrementally, a bit like you said earlier, Cheryl, about couch into 5K. Build it up. Don't just try and launch into that expedition to Mordor.
We kind of did. Well, the idea was that you cross off a little bit at a time, not that you want the whole flipping thing.
I misunderstood.
I think we missed that bit.
We both missed that bit, so
yeah.
I feel vindicated.
It sounded like you were trying to find the source of this river, and you're out for this massive hike.
Take your tent.
To find the source.
Take
Is
supplies.
That what you thought, Craig? I just imagine this long hike to find the source of the river.
Yeah, collapsing at the end and drinking from it.
Yeah. Too tired to find the bus.
I'll just lay here and die now. Yeah.
We're just dying because, we found some water.
I feel like I did really well. An opportunity for exercise for an unfit family who likes being outdoors.
What about, I love looking at the clouds and trying to find pictures in the clouds. That doesn't involve much effort. You need to find some. To me, you find some relatively non-dodgy looking grass and you lay down and look at the sky.
Yep, now that's a good one. Also, I don't know, if you're bird feeding, okay? Bird feeding means you've got to go out every now and then, feed the birds. That could be something that you do. But yeah, I think finding something that you want to do, which could be going to a pub or something, and finding a way of walking there. That could be the thing. It's like finding a route that gets you to somewhere you want to go anyway, rather than I'm going to go for a walk for the love of walking. If you're not one of those people, That's fine. Don't be one of those people. We are definitely not one of those flipping Easter egg trails around a National Trust place. They drive us bonkers.
I
We're kind
prefer
of like,
to go to the National Trust place when no actual thing is happening, so there's hardly anybody there.
there's like 3 days a year, Harriet, when that
Well,
happens.
midweek, we're good. We can go and we walk for a very short amount of time, and then we reward ourselves with cake and hot chocolate in the cafe. This is our reward, and it's not too far. And
Okay, well, I think we knocked all of those ones on the head. We didn't deal with young children who are quite free-spirited and have limited awareness of danger and safety. Ask on heifer offshoots. There are many, many children who are like that, and I'll pop up on there and answer any questions as well. If you haven't got a garden, I mean, interestingly, that really hit people during lockdown, didn't it? There was a definite divide between the people who'd got access to nature and the people that didn't.
But that's really the only time where that is a massive hindrance to you, isn't it? You know, because everyone's got a front door, and almost all the time you're allowed out of it.
Some people don't live within walking distance of somewhere nice and natural, but like if you want to do gardening, I mean, what I noticed was like the ingenuity people came up with, or like what you can do indoors, like houseplants kicked off massively.
Window boxes.
Window boxes, like windowsill herbs. Yeah. You know those microgreens, that kind of stuff. All microgreens. Oh, if you're into cooking. They're like all these different like coriander seeds, and they're little tiny sprouted ones, and then you put them in your stir fry. And microgreens are awesome. They're a way of like growing vegetables really quickly.
Oh, I've not heard of that.
Yeah, no, I'll pop that in offshoots as well. So I think starting small, having, starting on your windowsill and that kind of stuff. It's also a really nice way of bringing the other generations into home ed as well. So some of the children will be like, well, it doesn't have to be you doing it. It can actually, but if you've got grandparents, they're often more into that kind of thing. It can be a nice way of connecting. So there we go. I think we're pretty much done for all the essentials. I do feel like we have just about scratched the surface though. So we might have to come back for part 2 another time.
Yeah. I think, Cheryl, you need to go on offshoots and give us the details of your studying the water, because we have a whole section in our guides about different surveys.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I will put all kinds of things on there. I've got to spend more time in that group. I've resisted because I've just thought I've like, I have got a day job and a kid to educate, but this has been delightful. We've had a wonderful chat. I really enjoyed it. Got me excited. I had a nice laugh. That's pretty much all we would hope to get out of it. And Craig, you didn't swear, so
I did, but you just missed it. I swore once.
Did you?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Was it when we were talking about the buses?
I can't remember now.
No,
but that does
don't
make
get
me
started. Do not get them started again with
that
buses.
does make me furious. Yeah.
I just wondered whether it was linked with the buses.
No, but it could. You could easily get me there on about that or camping. Yeah.
Not a camping fan.
Why would you do it? Why would you do it, Harriet? Like, you live in a house with walls. Why trade it down for a piece of cloth in a field? I don't get it.
Next time, Harriet, we're going to talk about camping and festivals.
You see, I go to the homemade camp in Sussex each year.
And bushcraft. And there was so much we could have talked about.
Bushcraft, brilliant. Yeah.
I'm
all for that.
Okay, bushcraft.
We will be back
with another episode.
Let's say good night and cheerio for now.
Bye.
So thank you very much, Harriet. Thank you very much, Craig.
Bye.
Bye.